For every
Sure.
game, I'm like ready to like, I'm on my 8 Mile shit. I'm like in the green room, like ready to bar up. And then they would throw me to the front, and I would have to rap in front of all these like.
This podcast is about you and your journey in music, and we'll talk about the new record.
Awesome. Good to meet you, Adam. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So first off, talk to me about where were you born and raised?
I was born in Connecticut, Bridgeport, Connecticut, and I was raised there as well. To I was the youngest of three, and then my dad died, and I became the youngest of five. We joined families, and kind of grew up as the youngest one of a lot of them, and then just kind of got all their influence and music taste. Grew up fast just because of like they're having parties and stuff, and just got to kind of be a little rascal. It was fun. Yeah.
That's cool. And how did you get into music?
Um, I think like after my dad's passing, I feel like I had time to be alone. Like everyone had to do their shit. Like my mom was like, figuring out how to make money, and my brothers and sisters were like just like being teenagers and stuff. So I feel like I was like alone a lot, not like intentionally, just kind of so it happened. And so I kind of had a lot of time to think and make something. Like, I don't know, shit, I was bored. I don't want to, the video games get old after a while, and then you're just like, yo, like there's got to be more than just this. So started to get into sampling. I really like the sound of records, old records. Like I would hear like a beat with a sample in it from the 90s or earlier, and just be like, what the hell is going on? And I just thought it was like amazing because it was like timeless. Like I thought that was so cool, that you could, pretty much hear audio and put yourself in a time machine. It was the closest thing to time travel that I encountered. So I wanted to be to play a role in that. So I started to make beats. Yeah.
Okay. Were you fairly young when your father passed away?
Yeah, I was 8.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's hard.
It's all good, brother.
Yeah. Okay. So around 8, that's when you're just getting, you're just listening to music more. When did you start recording beats or
I
creating
think,
beats?
yeah, I think like from 8 till 12, you're just kind of like a little like kid. And then I feel like around 12, 13, we started to like film videos like around the house, and like little skits and, funny YouTube videos. You're on your computer, you're watching YouTube, you're like, ingesting content as we know it today to be called.
Sure.
But I our first thing I ever did was like I had my friends record. There was like this competition on YouTube for a Nintendo Wii, and it was like a talent show. So I was like, all right, well, we can make a beat on GarageBand, and we can like rap a funny song. So we made like this funny song. I think it was called like Condom, and we just thought it was hilarious because we're like 12-year-olds talking about condoms, and just
Sure.
cringy, but it's great. And we won, of course.
That's
Uh,
awesome.
got got the Wii, sold the Wii, made $300, split it with my friends, made 100 each, and then just kind of like, all right, like we're lit. Like,
For sure. Wow, that's incredible to win.
yeah, we're ready. We're ready to go. Yeah. So
Did that did you just submit it privately to YouTube or something, or was it like
no,
based on
it was like
views or?
it was like this guy hosting like he had like a YouTube channel, like he was like it was to probably promote him,
Uh,
and like sort of like be like, you guys do talent show, and I'll fund a Wii, and I'll pick the best one because
okay, I see what so it
yeah.
was off somebody else's channel. It
Yeah.
wasn't like YouTube sponsored,
No, no,
but
no.
still, that's pretty amazing that you won.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Shout out to that guy if he's ever
So,
out
so that was I imagine a validating moment in your music career.
there. That was it, man. That's all I needed.
And then moving forward, was it just making more beats or?
It's all been smooth since then. Yeah.
You just hung, you
No,
knew you were set at that
yeah, I
point.
was set, bro. I have 100. Like, I'm good. No, then it was like making beats on MPC and MPD. Just kept getting equipment, like
Mhm.
different things, like whatever I could like afford as a young little guy. And then I was filming them on YouTube. Like I had this fisheye. I totally bit the idea off this one guy, this guy Rhythmatical, who I saw, and he had like the fisheye. He was out in California. I was like, he was just hitting the pads, and I was like, that's the coolest thing on earth. And I was
Mhm.
just like, I'm gonna get a fisheye camera, and I'm gonna do that. And yeah, I just started to make beats and just like it was just like something to do. It was very fun.
Mhm.
And then I needed to like then the beats needed like words and shit, and it was just sort of like started rapping out of like necessity almost like um yeah, like I just needed to like put words in, so I was like I might as well make them good words, you know, like
Mhm.
make this shit sound good. So yeah, then just started just like kind of putting out albums on like Bandcamp, YouTube, um excuse me, like all sorts of stuff. Started selling it. I started to like I was like very hustle. It was like a little hustler. I like was selling beats. I was selling stuff on Bandcamp. I was selling like candy at school. Like my backpack was a bag full of like blow pops and lollipops and shit. And I made like a rack off like lollipops. And I would just like I was just like getting money. I don't I don't know. In like the most like Connecticut like white bullshit way. Like I was just getting money. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Were you still in high school when you were selling beats?
Yeah, I sold some beats through high school, but then high school I started to like sort of rhyme more and was rapping. Um
Okay.
and then I was getting a lot of shit from like upperclassmen and people because they'd never seen like a young little like I was like 80 pounds coming into high school though. Like I would look like a bird. And so like I got my shit like kind of like they like put me to the test, which was good looking in hindsight because like
Mhm.
we would have these like hockey games and shit and like the we had like the biggest like crowd bomb squad they called it.
Mhm.
There would be like there would be like 600 700 kids, and then they would pick all the freshmen. The freshmen would be like hiding and like quivering and shit, and then the upperclassmen guys who were like in our eyes were like the coolest dudes ever. They were at
Mhm.
the front just like wasted, like had girls with them and just like kings. And then they would like pick, you know, freshmen to come up and they would crowd surf them down and they would usually have to do something like something embarrassing usually, but they would always make me rap. And so every game, because I'm going to the games because they're fun to go to. For every
Sure.
game, I'm like ready to like I'm on my 8 Mile shit. I'm like in the green room, like ready to bar up. And then they would throw me to the front and I would have to rap in front of all these like just like angry testosterone heavy like drug kids and I would kill it every time. And so like it's just like you know they would talk their shit but they like it was almost like tough love. It was like brotherly love. It's like
Right.
incest but like we fuck with you like and then like send them back, get them out of here, like so it was cool. um but yeah, that is just like a really unconventional rap story. It's not like it's
That's
definitely
a
different from Nas for sure.
oh yeah, oh sure. But that's still a cool that's a rad story, right? I mean to be kind of a young kid to be pulled through to the upperclassmen and get the chance to rap in front of your whole school. I mean, that must have not only that probably pretty nerve-wracking, I would imagine.
For sure. But it was cool because it was like a sport. And like speaking of sports, it's like even the sports I played, I was trash at all the sports. They wouldn't ever play me. I would be on the bench, but then they would have me rap after the games. We would always be winning and shit. Like I played no role in it other than rapping at the end. And so yeah, that was my role. But then kids are talking shit, all that shit, and then got into a good school, got into USC, kind of through
Mhm.
just doing what I was telling you, like making beats, selling beats, being like a little entrepreneur type guy. And then got into USC and sort of, you know, expanded it, started to like I was in a music school, but I was in music industry. So because I can't read music,
Mhm.
so I was around all the kids. I was around the jazz kids. I was around the pop music kids who could read music and were focused super on playing. I was focused on like making beats, rhymes, getting money, having fun. And then so like I kind of saw what was at my fingertips, and they were bored of playing scales and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, let's group together. So we started something called 2273, which was our dorm room number. I didn't really start it, but I was sort of like one of the key members of it, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But 2273 was my boy Gyps's dorm room. And we would just gather in there, smoke weed, hang out, make beats, film it. We put it on Tumblr. It went crazy on Tumblr. Um, and yeah, I just kept putting out albums, and we toured a bunch of times. I'm just kind of going fast, but yeah,
No, it's
sort of like, yeah.
but it all kind of spiraled out of the dorm room in college, or that sounds like where it really started to pick up steam.
For sure. Definitely. Like, I think you need a crew. Like, I think a crew is important. And I've gone back and forth on that. I've been like, no, I just need me, or I'm better alone. And then I'm like, fuck no, this shit's not even fun if you don't have your crew. Like,
Mm-hmm.
squad is everything. And like, you just want to be having fun. Like these rappers that are like, like doing it all alone, and they just don't look like they're having as much fun.
Right. And what was like, I know like the song Fabrics you have is huge streaming numbers, like ridiculous, right? I mean, a lot of your songs have a ton of streams, but like, was that a song that came out of those dorm room days, or was that a little bit later down the line?
For sure. Fabrics came out of like a small like dorm room, like made the beat myself, like um no plan, no thought on that one. I'm just convinced that one is just big because of Spotify playlists, and because it starts with a jazz sample, and like they play it in coffee shops and shit. Like, I think that shit's all like, you can't even like it's a good song. Don't get me, it's a good song,
Right.
but it's definitely like algorithm-y song. Like that song is like that one works in the algorithm. That's why it has a lot of numbers, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it didn't. It came out like probably in the beginning the ages of Spotify, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I must have been like 19 or 20 when I put it out. We threw our stuff on Spotify before we even knew Spotify would be like a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of worked its way to the top. But I love that about Spotify. I love how it kind of like things like creep out of nowhere. You could have a song out for. I was talking to my homies from this band called Surfaces.
Mm-hmm.
They got that song Sunday's Best, and they were like, yo, when we put this out, like I think it did like 3,000 plays like the first month or like the first year or something. Like it just wasn't a thing. And then it just like time passed, and it was just like, here it is, So the delayed gratification of hit songs is always cool.
Is that kind of what happened with Fabric? So was it like one of those songs that kind of picked up a couple years later?
Absolutely. That's exactly what happened. I was just like, damn, this one's got some steam. Like I knew it was a cool song. But in my mind it could have been any other song from that time or that era.
Right. Was that the first thing? Was that song something that started to draw like eyes to you at that point, or was there another record before that that kind of
You see, I don't even think
got you
that
off the ground?
yeah, I don't think even think that's like when I'm talking about it, I'm not degrading it. I'm just saying it doesn't like if I'm gonna think of like pivotal songs
Yeah.
for the journey, it's like Desert Eagle, it's
Okay.
Probation, um really those two during when I was in college, and when we played them for people who are also in college who just started smoking weed. Like the first line of Probation is, I'm on probation, I can't smoke too much. Like I think that just kind of like fucked people up, and was like, holy shit, like I feel you, or like whatever the fuck that means.
Right. Right.
And then Desert Eagle also was just sort of like, oh shit, we're here. Fabrics is always that cool chill one that was just like, okay. It's not like a banger, but it's like that. It's that cool one that you keep in your pocket. And you're like, this one's a smash, low key.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, on Desert Eagle, that was on your Young Fell record,
Yeah.
and the record that just came out is Young Fell 2.
Yes.
And we're like what, like 5 years in between the two albums,
Yeah, something like that.
and a bunch of, obviously a bunch of other records in between there. Would you say this next, or this record you just put out, like how come that became two? Like what happened in the process between there that you decided to pick up at a record that was from 2016?
I have these like beings that exist in me. This could sound far out, but it's like it's just like young fella is like a entity of my body. Like it comes out like, you know, it's like that. It's like the careless energy, the young wild energy. And not that I had shifted away from that, but I started to explore other sounds and started to like, you know, keep my eye on like how I'm gonna mature the sounds. Like stuff like Mariposa sounds like maybe an album like a 50-year-old could make, because it's got like, you know, it's a little bit more dusty. It's got stuff with Santana, with the old heads. Like it's got this like more timely quality to it. But then as time kept going, I was just like, I need to tap into this young spirit that I feel right now, because like you're not always gonna be in your 20s. And like if I don't make this type of album or this type of music now, I'll never be able to. And so it was sort of like honoring that which exists in me. Just that free energy, that young energy, like give a fuck energy, which I'm always gonna have in me. But yeah, that's sort of where the idea for Young Fell 2 came about. I kind of
Okay.
explained that horribly, I feel like, but
No, it makes sense. I mean, you feel like you were just kind of evolving as an artist and going in kind of different directions up until now.
I,
You're like, you know what? Let's kind of go back to where
I
it
felt like
started.
I felt like I was evolving almost too fast for my own good.
Okay.
And that I needed to honor like older parts of myself that helped me get there. Like Mariposa, the album right before Young Fell 2, is uh it's like the first time I'm playing guitar in my shit. Like I just like learned that shit and then like totally embodied it and took it on and kind of did a decent job for how, you know, fast the evolution was. But
Mhm.
uh I just saw that okay, it's going to go there eventually. It's going to be like this like uh I don't even know. I don't even want to give spoilers because it's like I can't tell the future, but like basically I see a lot of truth in that,
Mhm.
but at the same time I can never lose or discredit that young spirit or that you know kid in his fucking mom's basement playing the beat maker thing.
Mhm.
Um I can't just throw that away. So
Sure.
I needed to incorporate that along with the guitar sounds and all that. Yeah.
When did you start playing guitar? It sounds like it wasn't that long ago.
No, it was when I lived in Brooklyn. I think it was like 4 years ago, three or 4 years ago now. Um, but yeah, I just keep the thing on me. I just like
Now you got a bunch behind you. Like you have a
I
bunch of
just put my
pictures.
guitar down. Yeah, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I just like it's like I just touch it. Like I just hold it. Like people talk to me, I'm like touching it. I'm thinking about it. I don't know. It's just like yeah, it's the best. It's like an extension of yourself. It's like a new power. It's like you get like a new arm or something. I don't know.
Sure. And then to be able to have a song with arguably like the best guitar player on the planet. I mean, with Santana, like how did that connection happen?
I think that's what like kind of showed me like don't don't limit yourself to just being that bedroom rapper type guy. Like you can clearly if this man is like fucking with you and saying
Yeah.
he loves this song, like go that way. Like you can go that way. Like that's not like a like just don't limit yourself in any way. And if another rapper comes and fucks with me, like I think like Cardo Got Wangs who does like fucking Drake beats and
Hmm.
Wiz Khalifa and shit. He's like, yo, I love your song Language, which is like this song that's like some just like beat I made on Winters in Brooklyn, like this edgy shit. Like, and I just love that it could be these two worlds of like there's just no limits, like
Mhm.
there's no boxes. It's so amazing because like if you embody that, you show other people that it's not about that. But just because I just totally diverted from your question, the Carlos shit happened because I had the song Heartstrings.
Mhm.
Someone from my label, it's called Same Plate, they work for Sony, sent it over to Carlos's team just on a whim, because they were like, we are trying to make this record go. And they were like shopping like other, you know, feature artists like PNB Rock and like a bunch of like rappers, shit that I was like, this wouldn't be that exciting. With all respect to all of them, but it just didn't fit the record. But then,
Mhm.
and then Carlos was like, yo, I want to play on the song. I love it. I have 2 days. My wife's out of town. Come up to the Bay Area and we'll get in the studio. And I was literally sitting here meditating. It was sober October. I was doing sober October. So I was like, I was in my bag. I was like breathing. I was sober. I was meditating. And I get the call from my manager, like, yo, Carlos is fucking with it. And I'm like, let's go. I was like, this shit's real. I was like, this manifest shit's real, bro.
That is
So
crazy. That
yeah,
is. Did you get to work in the studio with him, or did he just put
yeah.
his?
No, that
Oh
we
my gosh.
flew up. I brought a few of my friends, and we, you know, we got in the studio. He was 10 minutes early. He walks in. He's the first 15 minutes. Before he even introduces himself, he's talking about Miles Davis. He's just going off about how crazy Miles Davis is, what we should check out of Miles Davis, and he goes, "How you doing? I'm Carlos," and I'm like, it's a wrap.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. You're like, all right, I'm done.
And then he took pointers from me and shit. I was just like, what if he did this? He was just like super receptive, like
Really? Wow.
real ass dude, like clean spirit, amazing guy. I got to play with him in Vegas a few weeks after, and we played the song, and they learned it at sound check, and I got to play with them and shit. It was like, it was amazing.
That's mind blowing. That's so cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
And so when do you start working on this new record?
When or where?
Yeah, Young Felt too. Like, was this something that came about over the course of like the quarantine, or like is that something that you kind of had an
Yeah,
idea on prior to that?
for sure. I mean, I had a version of it during quarantine that I was like ready to drop. Like I was ready to drop like a year ago. Um, and then I kind of sat with those records and they kind of sounded a little bit too quarantiney. Like they sounded too like bedroomy.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to kind of expand and open up my heart and the sound and involve more people. And then I got signed, and then that allowed for me to like kind of, you know, fuck around a little bit more, go to Miami, make some records there, get a house in Topanga, California, bring some people out there, bring in better producers. And then we got to just like sort of make a better album. And some of the songs remained from the previous version, but overall, like listening back, I'm like, okay, yeah, time heals all wounds. Time fixes a lot of albums most of the time, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
But I think on this one, it definitely was good to get that little extra time because I was maturing, but I was maturing in a weird way. Like I wasn't fully. I was. It was. It would have been premature. The first version of Young Fell 2 was like premature. I wasn't fully on the wave that I'm now on.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so did you have like the structure then for the songs? Did you keep most of the structure and then you just kind of built?
I scrapped about 10 of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I scrapped a lot of them. They'll probably just be gone with the wind.
And you just started fresh. And did you knew it was still going to be part two?
Yeah. I knew it was going to be part two, but I needed it to have more musical elements. Like it was just too much of, it sounded like I tried to do the first album again
Mm-hmm.
rather than trying to do the first album and then some new shit that I've also learned along the way, like guitars and vocal effects and better mixes and shit, you know?
Do you feel like having the time because of the pandemic that it helped the record, or if we didn't have that downtime, would you have just put out what you had originally?
Yeah, I probably would have just kept going, bro, and just like jumped on a tour after and just like, because you can promote and sell anything. Like you can stand by anything, but it's like, what do you want to really stand by?
Mhm.
And so like it takes a lot of looking in the mirror and seeing things that you're like, I don't know if I could live like I don't know if I could live with this. And so you have to really, it takes time to have something that you really like. I can stand by this. Um, and it's not a perfect record. There's still, you know, I mean, I'm still going to be continue to make records, and I feel like I can make a better record this week. But it just takes that time to let the project show you what it is to be,
Mhm.
and for you to honor that and just like let it go and just see what happens. Um, yeah.
I like it. And you got some shows coming up, or you just played some shows, right? You
Yeah,
have
I
one
finished.
couple, Santa Cruz, Denver, and then you have one coming up in Texas.
Yep, yep. We got Texas this week. We just played Santa Cruz and Denver. They were insane. I don't know why. I felt like almost forgotten about. Maybe it's just the fucking phone. But just like the internet and shit just doesn't give you that love.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't matter what the numbers are. You just can't feel it. Just like it's like a block. Which I'm kind of worried about with like just the way shit's going, because we're gonna fully go into here. But seeing people at the shows like dabbing people up, screaming in people's faces, like it's the best. Like there's absolutely nothing like it. Like I couldn't sleep after either of the shows, just out of like, I was like, I'm just elated. Like I've played many shows, like many
Mhm.
great shows, and but I was just like, oh, this is like the drug of it.
Mhm.
But I kind of owe it to the people, the people. If you have like 500 kids in front of you, just like giving you that energy, like you're taking that, you're also giving it. It's just like this, like whoa. Um, and even the kids we had these new kids open up for us. They're called Fear of Making Out. They're really dope. I found out about them like a couple weeks ago, and I was like,
That's a cool name.
yeah, I was like, yo, y'all gotta come up to Denver. I have a sold out show. I need an opener. Like they're like, bet we're there. So they drove up, and they've played a couple shows, but I think that was like one of the better ones that they've like better crowds that they've experienced.
Probably.
And they got off the stage, and they're just like, that same feeling, just like elated, just like, yo, like, bro, what is this? And I was like, careful now. I was like, you're hooked now. Like, there's no going back after that. Like, it's just the shit, man. Like live
That's
music is
cool.
the shit.
That must be special to kind of pass that forward to somebody. That's people that you like, right? I mean, artists that you like. You're like, hey, I've already sold out this venue. Want to play in front of this huge crowd of people?
It really is. It's the most beautiful feeling ever. Not because it's so not selfish or anything. It's just like right. It's just like
Right.
natural. And it was cool because I had the guy from Big Gigantic there
Hmm.
who has welcomed me out to Red Rocks, and that was like my biggest show I've done. Like most people I've ever played in front of, and so he was at the Denver show coming out at my show just to do our song together. And so he saw me talking to the younger Fear of Making Out kids, and I didn't bring it up just because I didn't want to ruin the feeling, the moment. But I was just sort of like in my head, I was like, this guy gave me this experience. I'm able to give these kids this experience, and we all want to give more. Like
Right.
he wants to help me out more. I want to help him out more. I want these kids to grow more. And I already know that these kids are gonna help out the next kids. So it's like music is this just pack of love. I don't know. It's just like
Mhm.
this, like just lineage of love. Like it just goes through people, and it's like no one owns it. No one gets like a special seat. There's no like VIP tickets in music. Like, yeah, there's great bands and stuff, but like this is like something we can't see and you can't own, and you can't yeah, it just is. So you just have to like, everyone's involved.
Mhm. It kind of
It's
goes
great.
back to what you said earlier with the squad. You got to have a, your squad of people, and you're kind of building your own squad within, the industry.
Yeah, yeah. It's like open up those doors for people to. I mean, obviously, if they're not, if they're, make sure they're not snakes, but sharing it is like you get more power when you give it away. Like that's some spiritual shit I've been hip to lately. It's like give away your power and you become more powerful. It's this fucked up thing.
I love it. I love that.
You
Well,
try to
on that
hold.
note, I was gonna say, were those your first shows back from the quarantine?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow. I bet that added to the emotional aspect of the show too.
absolutely. But I didn't think anyone would be there. I thought it would be like I just thought it'd be like a weak ass COVID scared crowd. but, they, but they were going nutty. Like, yeah.
That's amazing. That is so cool. Well, thank you so much for doing this, Phil. I appreciate it. I have one more question for you, kind of related to what you just said about taking power and giving it forward. Is just if you have any advice for aspiring artists.
Advice for aspiring artists. I mean, my go-to is usually what Quincy Jones said, which is your music is only going to be as good as you are as a person. So to start with working on yourself, but I feel like I could push that a little bit more. I would say I think there's something about knowing when it's ready. I think a lot of kids these days, everyone's showing the process so much that it almost dilutes like it's almost like no, don't show anyone yet. Like because everyone's so eager to just put out content and not become irrelevant, but it's like, dude, take 2 years to get sick at one thing. Like learn this. Like I think my advice is to lock in and focus and put in the time and work on one thing before you try to like sell it, before you try to like show the world it. Like that's my advice to myself right now is like, yo, I'm gonna like not trip so much about TikToks. I'm gonna pay someone to do the TikToks. Someone else do that shit because I gotta get my scales right. I gotta make sure my fucking pinky is working great. I gotta make sure my voice holds. So it's stuff like that that I think kids can get lost in because there's almost not enough time to even work on the craft anymore or record to tape or do analog things or like what I mean, like yeah, like just get dirty, like get into it. That's my advice.